What's wrong? Honey? It's bigger than you expected? Smaller? What is it?
It's a 1-year membership in the Jelly of the Month Club.
Oh, God.
Clark, it's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
That it is, Edward. That it is indeed.
Welcome to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy, powered by the Retirement Income Store and brought to you by Agemy Financial Strategies in Guilford, Connecticut and Denver, Colorado.
And as you well know, I used to work for this 80-something-year-old man who was in HVAC, and he had this mantra of if there's a will, there's a way. And his name was William. And so he would always say, well, there's a will here, so we can do it. Anything is possible. And he'd tell me stories about him and his son, Will, who would do these things people would think impossible. You know, there's a furnace behind insulation that's stacked to the ceiling. And people would say, well, there's no possible way you could get that furnace out from behind that insulation. And he would say, oh, yes, there is. And he'd figure out a way to build a staircase to get it up over and back over so they didn't have to move all the insulation. And one of the things he taught me, the gift besides that continuously gives to me, is that when you learn something, when you accumulate knowledge, not only does it compound, but it's yours forever. And the education that you obtain, right, and you build upon, that's yours forever. And it continues to provide you use, it continues to provide you guidance. It's a gift that no one can ever take away from you. I'm Daniel Agemy.
And I'm Andrew Agemy. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Welcome. Today's topic is the gifts that keep on giving. Merry Christmas to all of you. And we wanted to give you a little gift. So today's topic, the gifts that keep on giving. Daniel, fantastic. That education is certainly a gift, isn't it? I love the bumper sticker that says, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance, right? And so with that, education is truly a gift that keeps on giving. And, hopefully, people that are listening to us, believe that same thing. That's why they're listening to us, right? We're doing this show. We spend a lot of money on these shows and a lot of time on these shows to be able to educate people, add value to their lives so they can make smart decisions and be able to go with them, that this information can go with them on into, ad infinitum, so to speak. I like, when we were preparing for this, you were talking about your brother and some things going on there with his education and whatnot. Tell me more about that.
Well, there's a few different things, right? Some people look at education as you do it one time. You go to school and you get your degree, and now you're educated. But there's a famous quote, right? We not only need to educate ourselves, but continuously educate ourselves, or we become obsolete. And there's never been a time in history that this is more true, right? One of the greatest, probably the greatest invention of all time was the printing press. And that decentralized information. It made it so anyone in the world had the same information that the scholars or the church elders or the government or whoever it may be had. It disseminated information and it decentralized learning, right? And that was probably the greatest invention of all time. But yeah, with my brother, he's telling me a story about how he works with these guys who their company will offer to pay for them to get certifications. And they'll say, it's only a $3,000 raise. It's not worth my time. And he'll say, what are you thinking? What are you thinking, man? You get that education. You're the one who has the certification, not the company. So you can go somewhere else that does value that. Or maybe you start your own business because you gathered this information, right?
Right.
And this is the same thing with our finances,
Right.
right? I don't need to know. I have an advisor. Well, is your advisor educating themselves? Okay. Markets have been structured and have been basically rates have been coming down for the last 40 years, right?
Right.
One
Right.
way of investing has worked extremely well for 40 years. This is changing. So the people who have done well for the last 40 years, unless they change strategies, most likely will not do very well because we're moving into a new regime. We're moving into a new structure in markets.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And you have to, you have to get the right education or have somebody that is getting the education to be able to move forward. And, and that's how it keeps giving once you have that education. Well, if you just joined us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. And today's topic is the gifts that keep on giving. And we have a paper, we have a document, what we put together that will help you. And it's called Tax and Inflation, What You Need to Know for 2022. And we have that available to you by calling 800-725-7616. 800-725-7616. And you can have that. Today's topic is the gifts that keep on giving. So, Daniel, when we're talking about the education as being one of those gifts that keep on giving, and I love to be able to educate people in regard to finances so that they can make smart decisions. Right? Education is significant to what we do. You gave that example of your brother, and once you have the education, it's something that can be compounded. And that's one of the things I see in this business is that, people tend to continue to educate themselves. They're financial professionals, but there is so many things changing, like you say, the new perspective, the new asset class of digital currency, for instance, right? That's a whole nother thing that a lot of people in this industry don't have their heads wrapped around yet in any way, shape, or form. And so they tend to think in terms of it's stagnant and we can just do the same things the same old way and don't educate themselves. But education is key to being able to be able to do and make money with your money and be able to have it do what you want it to do, right?
Yeah. And back to that original story with Will, right? With Bill.
Yeah.
He said, what you gather, the information, the knowledge you learn, that's yours forever. No one can ever take it away from you. And with my brother and people he's worked with, they think that education's only good because they got a $3,000 bonus or whatever it is. But no, that's yours. You get to keep it forever, and then you compound on it, right? So stuff changes all the time, right? We're talking about all these laws that passed when Donald Trump was in office, and then now all these laws they're trying to pass now that President Biden is in office, right? And these things change the game. Not only to mention that this we're going into this new inflationary regime, this new money creation regime, right? Where it completely changed the way of investing because you're going from a deflationary and interest rates coming down to an inflationary, possibly rates coming up. And it completely changes the way markets work. How do you educate? Well, it's cool. People are tuning in and listening to this show. That's why we put it together. That's why we write all these blog posts and things like that we want people. What's that saying you have, Dad? Something about educated consumers.
Yeah, well, we believe that an educated retiree is a happy and stress-free retiree, and that's why we want to educate people, educate retirees, especially. That's where our focus is, on people in and close to retirement, maybe 50 years old to 80 years old, that and beyond, that kind of thing, to be able to help them to have. Because if you're retired and you're stressed out, what kind of retirement is that? Who wants to retire to be stressed, right? And so many times people run out of money and they get stressed about their money running out. So that's why we've been dedicated to making sure people are educated so that they don't run out of money. That's a great thinking there, Daniel. And education is just so key. Some people are listening to us today and they're just going to get value from listening to us. That's great. Some people, will call us and want to talk with us more to be able to get some more insights and specifics in regard to how it pertains to their financial program and whatnot. And some people we'll end up working with and helping to go on into the future and just be able to compound their assets and compound their retirements and whatnot. But some people, they won't be. Some people are not going to be able to work with everybody, and that's fine. But the key is being able to help everybody take a little bit more a step in the right direction that they can keep on giving. And we want to educate. And that compounding factor is so significant. We did a show on compounding, right? Like probably a year ago or something at this point, right? And
The eighth wonder of the world, right?
Eighth wonder of the world. That's right. And compounding is just so significant, so much so that there's one person that has 1,000% formula, and how you can get 1,000% better is by just doing, I think it's like 0.25% better every day. And it's just amazing how that can compound. Same thing with education, just learn a little bit more every day, and it will help you to be able to make a huge difference with what's going on out there. Well, if you just joined us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is the gifts that keep on giving. And we'd like to give you on this Christmas weekend a gift that will keep on giving. And it's a book called Think Again. This is not a financial book. It's by Adam Grant. It's not a financial, but it's about thinking and educating yourself. And Daniel, I see those big stacks of books behind you there. They're almost going to cover your rubber plant. So you obviously believe in reading. And we got this book from you. You thought this was a good one to offer our audience. And if you like the book, Think Again by Adam Grant, which will help you to be able to put together your thoughts, put together your thinking as we wrap up 2021, go into 2022, get your thoughts together to be able to educate yourself, put yourself in a better place in 2022. You can have that book for free by calling 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616, or contact us on our website, agemy.com. The two words, Agemy, spell our last name of Agemy, agemy.com, and you can just in the comments ask for the book, and we'll be right back after this.
History tells us the market goes up and the market goes down. What would you do if you lost half of your retirement savings? It's time to make the shift to steady, reliable retirement income. And where do you go? The Retirement Income Store. Log on to agemy.com for your free retirement review. That's AGEMY.com. The Retirement Income Store, where retirees go for income.
Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Agemy in Connecticut and Daniel Agemy in Colorado.
So Daniel, as you know, you guys would, as you're growing up every morning, would have wisdom search. When we looked at the chapter in Proverbs, you read one chapter of Proverbs every day. You read through the whole book in a month, and it's a great aspect, a great way of being able to get some wisdom. And some of the Proverbs, like Proverbs 29:18 says, without vision, the people will perish. And the concept there being that without goals, people are not going to be able to get where they want to be, that they'll just perish without a vision, without an idea of where they want to go. And then there's another proverb that says, yeah, that a man plans his ways, but that God directs his steps, with the concept of we need to be planning, we need to be setting goals, but also being flexible enough that when God changes our direction, that we'll be able to do it. I'm Andrew Agemy.
I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, we have a very, very interesting conversation for you, and that is the gifts that keep on giving. And Dad, we're talking about things that continue to provide value, things that give and give and give. And when we're talking about retirement, that's especially important because you saved up, you sacrificed consumption now for a better future, right?
Right.
And so it's important to protect that, and it's important to look at these things that will continue to provide you value as you go into the future. So you don't have to be stressed in retirement. So you don't have to worry about where the next paycheck is coming from or how you're going to provide for, rental increases or helping pay for maybe your grandkids' education or traveling around the country or world or whatever that may be.
Right. And that's, we talked, the first segment, we talked about education is a gift that keeps on giving, that once you have that you are able to compound upon that. And now we're talking about planning and goals. And when you look at people want to retire and they have a goal to retire, but the question is, what does retirement look like to you? Right? Retirement is different things. You have to have a perspective. You have to have some kind of thought process other than just, well, I'm going to retire. Well, what are you going to do when you retire? Well, people back, decades ago when Social Security first came out, people would retire and then they'd only live a year or two before they passed away. And one of the reasons for that was because they had no vision. They had no idea what they were going to do in retirement, and they had no purpose in life at that point, without having a job, and they would just end up dying. Well, it's so important to be able to have perspective and put together plans and goals. That's a gift that will keep on giving. That once, to as you work toward that goal, toward that vision, toward that plan, that will help you to be able to receive motivation to go the distance and to do even more. We're motivated. People tend to be motivated by the stick or by the carrot. And unfortunately, we need the carrot. We need the stick more than that. Hopefully it's the carrot, right? And the carrot is the idea of the goals, where the donkey has that carrot out there and is always going toward that carrot to be able to get to where the owner of the donkey wants the donkey to go. And so that is key with retirement is, and people start putting money in their 401ks and accumulate money to be able to get them to retirement. But then as they approach retirement, many times I find people that haven't thought about what they want to do in retirement. That's one of the first questions that comes up when we're looking at retirement. What's retirement look like to you? What do you need in retirement? What do you want to do in retirement? What's it going to cost in retirement? These kinds of things.
It's a goals-based approach, right? And a lot of times we see people looking at it backwards, where they think, well, what do I need to save so that I can retire? Instead of saying, what do I want retirement to look like? What do I want to do in retirement? What are the things I want to have? Who are the people I care about I want to help? Where are the places I want to go? What are the new hobbies or the new things I want to learn, right? And it's looking at that. There's software that they put together to help people with this, where it will age people's faces, right? So you look at yourself and then it ages your face, so you can think about and put yourself in that older person's body, and then you're thinking about saving or investing for your future self, and it helps people put it into perspective. But we love looking at the outcome, right? We like looking at the goal. What do you want it to look like? Because when you think of it backwards, you think I need to save up this much, or I need to earn this type of return in order to retire. What you really need to do is you need to look at what you want your retirement to be like. Now, automatically, your more powerful brain, your subconscious, starts doing planning for you because you know what you want. And it starts changing things in your life without you even realizing it. Right. Because our subconscious is 95% of what our brain's function is doing. So that starts happening that you don't have to worry about that because it's automatic. But the second part is the sacrifices you're making now, you see what the value of that will be. And then, right, the third thing that what that does for you is it allows you to strive for something. So now you actually have a goal. Instead of saying, well, $1 million would be nice, you say, I need $60,000 a year to fund everything that I want to do. Well, that's something you can actually work on, right? You can actually plan towards having $60,000. Some abstract number of like $100,000 it's not going to do a lot of good. Well, what if 100,000 can only get you, $1,000 of spending power by the time that you get to that point? What did that do?
Exactly. And that's where the planning can just keep giving to you and giving to you as time goes on. And, to aid you, if you just joined us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. And today's topic is the gifts that keep on giving. And we talked about education in our first segment. We're talking about planning and goals in this segment. And we have a paper to go along with this, Tax and Inflation, what you need to know for 2022 to be able to do some planning and looking at as you finish up this year and go into the new year. Merry Christmas to all of you who are listening to us. Daniel, I'm sorry, if you like that paper, you can have that by calling 800-725-7616 and just ask for the paper, and we'll be glad to give it to you on taxes. So Daniel, when we're talking about this planning, I love what you're saying in regard to, what do you want to do in retirement? What is that going to cost? Do you want to do some traveling? Do you want to have a house in Connecticut, Colorado, as well as Florida or Arizona, whatever the case may be, right? And what is that going to cost to be able to do those kinds of things? And there's different ways. People, when they think about retirement planning, I think sometimes people who have not started retirement planning, Daniel, they think of it as like being stagnant. Like, I need to put together a retirement plan, and then I'm going to follow that retirement plan. And that's not the case, right? Because today is one thing, and that's the whole point, is that education, things change. And so you have to keep educating yourself. Because you have to keep educating yourself, you have to keep changing the plan, because plans change, right? And things change, situations change. And so, and at different points. I had a client come in yesterday, Daniel, that he just retired a couple months ago. I think September 30th, he retired. And I said, we've been talking to you about getting you to this point of retirement and making sure you have the income that you need. And we're planning on that. Now, what we're going to start talking about at this point is, when we're looking at 2022 and beyond, is we're going to start talking about how to save as much money on taxes now in your retirement as we move forward, and what that means to you, and how to tweak the investments that you have to be able to give you more income than what you have. So it's not something that's stagnant. It's a retirement planning is dynamic. It changes all the time because everything changes. Investments change. People change. Your goals, your dreams change. All these things change. Income changes. You need different income. Inflation changes. Markets change. All kinds of things change. So you have to be able to change with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that does wonders for people, right, by having these plans is, one is, it's kind of like a living organism, right? It's always changing. And that's where that, as you said, the knowledge comes in, where you have to keep evolving your knowledge, or the people you're working with have to keep evolving their knowledge. We only work with people who want to be educated and want to continually educate themselves.
Right.
Why is that? Because we do very specific, special things that put people, far above their peers.
Right.
And the only way that works is when the people we're working with are as interested in having a wonderful retirement as we are helping them. If we want to help them have this great retirement and they're like, no, I don't care the tax implications, I don't care this, I don't care that, it doesn't do any good.
That's
And we
right.
can't work with everybody.
That's right.
But the people who are interested in having a fine tune, right? A fine tune retirement, and they work through these plannings and continually educate themselves. Those are the people who we exclusively work and enjoy working with.
Right. That's right.
But what that plan allows you to do is have confidence when things don't seem they're going well, right? A crazy statistic is over the last 25 years, if you just bought bonds, okay, you just bought and held onto the bonds, you did something like 7%.
25 years, past 25 years. Okay. 7%.
And if you bought and held stocks, you did something like 10% a year.
Okay. All right.
You know what the average investor has done?
I can guess.
2% per year. And it's because they don't stick to a plan. The compounding works when you have a plan and you can stick to it. That doesn't mean you have to stick to a bad plan. You can always reevaluate, but you have to have a plan. Otherwise, you're willy-nilly. And so people get scared at the bottoms. They sell out. They don't stick to their plan. And then they buy at the top. And that's why the average investor has done 2% per year compared to if you just bought a basket of anything.
So another gift that keeps on giving is planning and goal setting, sticking with it, and being able to make the changes. A track to run on, right? One of the things that I've said to my kids as they've grown up and they don't know what they're going to do they're looking at their futures, and I say, well, let's just get a track to run on, and then God's going to lead you from that track into some of these other areas where you need to go, and he's going to open doors and show you some things, just like he showed Mary and Joseph that he was giving them a track to run on, that they were going to raise his son on earth, Jesus Christ. And that's why we're celebrating Christmas. Merry Christmas to you this weekend. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is the gifts that keep on giving. And we have a book for you that if you'd like a free gift to you called Think Again by Adam Grant, to be able to help you as you finish up 2021, look at 2022, and get your head together for planning, for thought processing, and how to think in a way that will be able to help you move into the future. So you can have that book by calling 800-725-7616. No obligation. We do need a couple ways of contacting you to make sure that we're able to put this in the mail to you. It's a physical book. 800-725-7616. Call now. We'll be right back after this.
I'm David Scranton, founder of the Retirement Income Store. If you're in or near retirement, are you certain you have the right retirement plan in place? Do you want to help ensure your nest egg will last you all throughout retirement? Take our retirement review quiz and find out in 5 minutes or less if you're doing everything you can to achieve a more successful retirement.
Visit us online at agemy.com. That's AGEMY.com. Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Agemy in Connecticut and Daniel Agemy in Colorado.
So this morning, Daniel, I had an electrician come by our building as I needed a little bit of work done on the electricity. And when he was done doing the work, I was talking to him about that idea of putting on maybe some solar panels or doing something with solar. And he was giving me his recommendation of doing that. And the thing that I like about solar energy is that it's a renewable resource. And renewable resources are good stuff, right? Because as long as you have that, as long as you have the sun, you're going to be able to get electricity because the sun is renewable. Every morning the sun comes up again, and there you go, you got it, and you're being able to do that. I couldn't help to think about how that relates to investing. And when you're investing for retirement, and you're investing for purpose, and you're investing for income, when doing it properly, it's a renewable resource. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about the gift that keeps on giving. And Dad, renewable resources, solar energy is a gift that keeps on giving, right? You
Yeah.
are converting free energy from the sun, and you're converting it into power so you can do the things that you need to do in your office building, in your house, charge your electric cars, whatever that is.
Yep.
And that's something that, as long as you are able to convert that energy, you get
Right.
power.
Right. Right. And the example I like to talk about, Daniel, when we're talking about, retirement, is that in retirement, I want people to be able to eat and have all the food that they need in retirement. And to me, the best way to do that is to encourage them to eat eggs, not chickens, eggs, right? Because if we take their money, we buy chickens, and the chickens produce eggs, and eggs are a renewable resource. And as long as they have the chickens, they're going to have eggs.
I
Right?
think you
We don't
need to
want.
listen to the show we recorded for Christmas, and it had to do with setting goals and having big, audacious goals. Let's have let's have bigger goals than eating chicken.
Well, see, that's the thing. You can take the eggs. You can take the eggs, and you don't have to eat the eggs. You can trade it in for other people's roosters, right? Because some people are investing in and buying roosters, or you can take it and trade it off for some seafood or beef or whatever you want to do. But if you have that renewable resource, you can do exactly that, right? You always, as long as you have the chickens, you got the eggs. It's a renewable resource. And that's what happens. That's a great way to be able to, in retirement, be able to have assets, productive assets that create that are renewable resource, and are able to create the income, create that paycheck you need every month. Once the paycheck that you earn stops, the paycheck that your assets create can continue to move forward.
Yeah, we like to say that hope is not an investment strategy. It's a 4-letter word, right? and and a lot of people who come in and we see and we meet call us from the show, things like that. Their plan has been hope. Well, I hope, and you can hear it when they talk. Well, I hope that markets continue to go up, or I hope that this comes back, or I hope that I'll have enough money in retirement. And so the three gifts that we've been talking about today that keep giving, right?
Right.
None of them are hope based.
Right.
You don't hope that you learn something, right?
Right.
You go pick up a book, you call us up and you ask for that book we're giving away that helps people rethink the way they think. Where we all have biases. Well, do you ever question your biases, or do you just keep living off the biases? And that's what the book dives into. That doesn't mean if you rethink it and you say, this is a good fundamental value I want to keep, there was no problem with rethinking it. But why do you have that? Why do you think that way? Maybe you should change the way you think, right? And it helps you learn how to make decisions on things you don't know, right?
Right.
And then planning. Planning doesn't just come about by, well, I looked this up one day and I heard that this was a thing you could do called retirement, and now I want to do it. No, you gotta picture what you want. Picture yourself sitting on the beach.
Right.
Picture yourself traveling around the world. Picture yourself having enough time and income to spend time with the people you care about.
Right.
And now, as we get into this third gift that keeps on giving, would be income, or income producing hard assets that pay you to own them, right?
That's renewable resources, right? When it comes to finances, which is real key. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is the gifts that keep on giving. We have a paper that we put together that we like to put in your hand. to remember. So there's various ages when you get to retirement. And that's why we're talking about things are always changing, right? Your age is changing. So, 50 years old is one age, and 59 and a half, and 72. And, there's various ages, depending upon when you were born. If you were born 1960 or later, there's 67 years old. All kinds of ages that have specific aspects about retirement that you can take a look at to see if that meets your needs. So we'd like to put this paper in your hand, Vital Planning Ages to Remember, 800-725-7616. Call to get yours for free. Daniel, productive assets, renewable energy, renewable assets. Just how does that work? I had a client come in recently that we did a review. And, he had retired May. He became a client, I think, like 2 or 3 years ago, and his assets have compounded significantly. And they've compounded. They're not grown as much as compounded. How does that all work?
Well, there's a chart that kind of illustrates this very, very well. And it's basically looking at, the Russell from 1980 until today.
Okay.
And so, the Russell 1000, right? It's the backbone of America. It's smaller companies, listed companies, but it's smaller companies.
Okay.
And so if you were just to guess how that thing's accumulated, what do you think that's done on average each year?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good one. That you really stumped me on that one. I'm going to guess 9% average.
That's great guess. 11, 6.
Okay.
Now, only if you include interest and dividends. If you subtract out the dividends, what do you think it's done?
5%.
3.7.
Whoa, that's huge.
So this is what we talk about when we talk about things that pay you, right? This isn't even designed to produce income, but it shows you the power of compounding interest, because it's not that the dividends were the difference. The fact is that the dividends are buying you more of the shares of the index when you go through volatility.
Yeah.
Now, if you didn't need that, you reinvested it, and it brought you from a 3.7 annualized return all the way up to a 11.6 annualized return. Right?
Wow. Yeah. 8% more.
But what we're talking about here is we're talking about buying things that are actually designed to produce income. So if that's, you have a piece of land that you hope will appreciate over time, right?
Doesn't create income.
That goes back to the hope is not a retirement plan. Compared to you buy a farm, right?
Yeah.
You buy a farm and you're growing crops on the farm that are producing income, and you're renting out, a barn, and you're maybe renting out grazing rights somewhere else, and you have cattle, and you have these things that the farm is producing this income that you can't run out of. As long as it's producing income, you can spend that and you won't run out of money. Compared to, you're hoping that the land appreciates in value so you can sell a piece of it so you can support your lifestyle, and then sell another piece of it. And this is why people are scared about running out of retirement. Because you think about it with the piece of land, you can only sell so many pieces of the land
before it's gone.
Don't get appreciation, what does that mean? You got to sell more of the plot of land to get the same amount of income, or you have to decrease your lifestyle. And who wants to do that?
Not when they're retired, that's for sure. Well, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. If you just joined us, and today's topic is the gifts that keep on giving. We've talked about the gift of education keeps on giving and compounding against itself, and planning and goals keep on giving and compounding upon themselves, as well as productive assets, renewable resources. We like to give you a book to be able to increase the educational aspect of that for you. Think Again by Adam Grant. This is free for you. Merry Christmas from us here at Agemy Financial and Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. You can have that book for free by calling 800-725-7616. We'll help you to be able to think through, rethink the things that you've thought about, to be able to put you in a better standing for the rest of your life. So you can have that book by calling 800-725-7616. Call now.
History tells us the market goes up and the market goes down. What would you do if you lost half of your retirement savings? It's time to make the shift to steady, reliable retirement income. And where do you go? The Retirement Income Store. Log on to agemy.com for your free retirement review. That's AGEMY.com. The Retirement Income Store, where retirees go for income.
Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Agemy in Connecticut and Daniel Agemy in Colorado.
Daniel, I'm so excited because Harry came in the other day, and he is one of our clients that's been with us for several years now, a few years, and he's retired. And he epitomizes these gifts that keep on giving that we're talking about today. Because when he first came in and was introduced to us, he knew he wanted to retire at some point, but that's all he knew. He was putting money away into his 401k, and that's all. He didn't know anything else. Well, then we started educating him on how to plan for retirement. And then he started planning and setting goals for himself for retirement, and when he was going to retire, and bought a retirement house, and just all these kinds of things that just compounded. The planning and goals compounded upon the education that he was receiving from us. And then we were also able to set up his assets, take his assets from a speculation, a hope mindset for his assets, and move him into renewable resource assets that today, Daniel, listen to this. Today, his renewable resource income every year that he can get out of this plan today, this is not saying what it will be in the future, but today is 20% of what he started with us. 20% every year. So in 5 years, he's going to have again what he received, what he had started with us. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, we're talking about the gifts that keep on giving. And Dad, that story is wonderful, and it is exciting because it shows how compounding works in all three aspects of these three gifts we're talking about, right? They each compound. The knowledge compounds and compounds, and it helps you realize you need to start having these visions and these plans. Right. And seeing what you want your future to look like so that the planning can get you there. And then that compounds, and then you start seeing that you need to switch from this hope, from this speculation mentality, because that doesn't, you throw that out. That doesn't fit with the planning mentality anymore because you can't count on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't fit with the knowledge because you realize that these talking heads on these big media programs, they're talking about trading to next Tuesday, and you're not talking about next Tuesday. You're talking about the rest of your life, right?
Exactly. Right.
How cool is that?
That's very cool. That's very cool. And Harry is stress-free right now. He's retired and he's stress-free. And that's what I love to do, is help people to become stress-free and be stress-free in retirement so that they can have what they need and not run out of money in their lifetime. They have all the money that they need. I mean, that's the definition, right? Our friend Greg says, the definition of a perfect retirement is having more than enough income that you need for the rest of your life. And that will creates stress-free nature for people, right? When they have what they need.
You see it. We see it when people who start doing well in life. I saw somebody the other day who's keeps getting raises with their job. Yeah. And then their spouse is making more money. They have disposable income. They have extra money that they don't necessarily know what to do with. And so then they start saying, well, I want more income. I want my money to start working for me, right? They start expanding. And this is part of the planning process much earlier than what we're talking about in this retirement plan, especially. But the sooner people start, the better it works out. But they intuitively know that now they have this extra money, that money should be working for them as well. And somehow a lot of people who have participated in this last 40 years of this interest rates coming down, trophy assets going up because of things the Federal Reserve is doing and because rates coming down, aren't necessarily shifting that mindset to a put my money to work for me, right? It's like we talked about that piece of land where they're thinking, I'm just going to sell off a portion. And as long as everything keeps going up like it has, everything will be okay. And you know this, it cracks me up every time because start listening, right, to how people talk.
Right.
And when they say things like, I hope we'll be able to retire.
Right.
If you listen to your spouse, listen to yourself talk. And if you're saying that, then you know you need to start either reading this book that we're giving out today, right?
Right. Exactly.
And start questioning the way you're thinking, questioning the advice that you're getting,
Right.
and see if it
Right.
makes sense for your particular position in life and for the goals of the future that you have. Because the words I hope, or we hope we make it, or if things keep going the way they are, these are not retirement strategies.
Exactly. Exactly. You're exactly right, Daniel. And, you're listening. If you just picked up listening to us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. We're glad to be able to be coming to you today, whether it's on the radio or on the podcast. And we have a paper that we'd like to put in your hand to help you with this planning process. We're talking about today's topic is the gifts that keep on giving. And we've talked about education, keeps giving, planning and setting goals, keeps on giving, and then setting your money up for renewable assets, having productive assets that keep on giving. And we have a paper we'd like to put in your hand to help you plan and prepare for retirement as you think through the different ages as you get older. Vital planning ages to remember. That starts in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Different things happen at different points in your life. We like to put this in your hand, and you can have it for free by calling us at 800-725-7616 or contacting us on the web, on our website at agemy.com, AGEMY.com, the two words agemy.com. Spell our last name, and you can just ask for the Vital Ages document, and we'll be glad to get that to you. 800-725-7616. Daniel, as we're finishing up the show today, what things do you have that you want to make sure that we try to effectively communicate to our listening audience to be able to help them plan? As we're not going to be able to help everybody listening to this show plan their retirement, which is fine, but we want to give them some tools, some topics, some education that they can build upon and go forward. So what do you have for them as we finish up here?
Well, no matter what age you are, right? People who are listening to this are doing a good thing. That's educating themselves.
Right.
I really like that book as far as challenging your belief systems, right?
Okay.
Because we get ourselves into these habitual patterns, and some of your belief systems may be very, very good belief systems that you should not change, but you need to challenge them, right? Because believing in something just because you believe in it is not a good reason to believe in it. Right. Doing something the same way over and over again without challenging to see if that's the best way of doing it is not a good way to go about. Right.
Exactly.
So with the education, remembering that we don't only need to be educated, right? We don't just need to go to college, get that certificate, but continually educate ourselves because things change and we don't want to become obsolete.
Exactly. I love it. Whenever somebody's having a graduation, many times it's called a commencement, because you're not, graduation is the idea, okay, this is final, right? And I'm done with my education. No, it's a commencement where you've learned and gotten the foundation of learning to be able to go forward into the future. And foundations are important, right? Every car needs good tires on it. Truck needs good tires on it. Otherwise, they're going to slip and slide into snow and the rain. You need a good foundation. A house or a building needs a good cement foundation. A marriage needs a good foundation. A retirement plan needs a good foundation. So that's what I get. What you're saying is challenge those thoughts, rethink those thoughts, make sure you're getting in the right area, because how people think toward retirement when they're in their 20s, 30s, and 40s is totally different than what it's actually like in their 50s, 60s, and especially 70s and beyond, right? Because everything changes. All bets are off come retirement. Schedule changes, paycheck changes, friends change, everything changes. And so the foundation that you build upon needs to be a firm foundation. And thus, if you're building on speculation and hope, so many people when I talk to, Daniel, they're like, well, I want to hope for the best, but I want to plan for the worst, because they understand that speculation and hope is not a retirement plan.
Right. And rolling as these compound, rolling into that next one, right? With having the vision for the retirement that you want. If you're 5 years out, you got to start putting those pictures either on your walls or in your minds of what you want that to look for, because your subconscious is huge and it will automatically change the way you do things when you start visualizing what you want that retirement to be like. And you'll start planning and you start making smarter decisions, and this will start compounding.
Yep. Yep. And what I want to say to finish up everything here is that here we are at the end of 2021. Merry Christmas, everybody. Next week is New Year's, right? And we're going to be looking at new things in the new year. It's a great time to reassess where you are, make course corrections. Okay, where have you, we don't want to beat ourselves up for the past, but because today's the first day of the rest of your life, right? So let's look ahead. Let's plan ahead. Jesus said there's no man that sits his hand to the plow and looks back that's worthy for the kingdom. You got to sit your hand to the plow and keep going straight ahead. And that's what we need to do. And with this, you need the right foundation. Start your retirement planning today. If you haven't started, start it today. So many times, I wish I had $1 for everybody that said, oh, Andrew, when I turn 65 or whatever age, I'm going to come see you then. No, you got to start sooner. If you're in your 50s, you need to start thinking about retirement. You need to start thinking through these things, making sure that your assets are set up right, that your education is set up right, that your plans and your goals are set up right. So let's do that now. I would encourage you now. Like I said, this is not about this. This is about giving you what you need to be able to think ahead and think again. And we'd like to put this book in your hand, Think Again by Adam Grant, as we finish up today's show of Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy, gifts that keep on giving. Education, planning and goal setting, and setting your money up with productive assets that reproduces itself, renewable resource. And Think Again will help you be able to put your thoughts together. It's not a financial book, but it's a good book to finish up the year with and start the new year with, to get your mind going in the right direction so that you can put yourself in, not just for retirement purposes, but all of life. We look forward to catching up with you next week. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year coming up next week. And as we finish up, you too can have a stress-free retirement.